I refused to let my jobless sister move in with us. Now my whole family is calling me Heartless. 6 months later, the truth about her job loss comes out and it's worse than we thought. I, Jake, 32M, have been married to my wife Emma, 30F, for 5 years. We have twin daughters, Lily and Rose, 3F, and live in a modest 3-bedroom house in the suburbs of Chicago. I work as a software engineer for a mid-sized tech company, and Emma is a part-time nurse at the local children's hospital. We're not rich by any means, but we manage to live comfortably. My sister Lisa, 28F, has always been the free spirit of our family. Growing up, she was the one who'd sneak out to parties, date the bad boys, and challenge our parents' rules at every turn. Despite her rebellious nature, she was always charismatic and could charm her way out of trouble. I, on the other hand, was the good kid, studious, rule-following, and responsible. This difference in our personalities often caused friction between us, but we still maintained a close bond. After high school, I went off to college to study computer science, while Lisa decided to take a gap year to find herself. That gap year turned into 2, then 3. Our parents were patient at first, but as time went on, they became increasingly worried about Lisa's future. Finally, when Lisa was 22, she announced that she'd found her calling. She wanted to be an actress. She'd been taking local acting classes and had even landed a small role in a community theater production. Lisa was convinced that she had what it took to make it big in Hollywood. Our parents were skeptical, to say the least. They tried to convince Lisa to pursue a more stable career path, maybe study theater in college if she was really passionate about acting. But Lisa was adamant. She'd saved up some money from her part-time jobs and declared that she was moving to Los Angeles to chase her dreams. I remember the day she left. Our mom was in tears, our dad was stoic but clearly worried, and I felt a mix of admiration for her courage and concern for her future. Lisa promised to make us proud and swore she'd be walking the red carpet in no time. For the first couple of years, Lisa seemed to be doing okay. She'd landed a steady job as a waitress at a popular restaurant in West Hollywood and was going to auditions regularly. She'd call home with exciting stories about celebrity sightings and near misses with big breaks. We all hoped that her big break was just around the corner. As time went on, though, the tone of Lisa's calls changed. The excitement faded, replaced by frustration and hints of desperation. She'd occasionally land small roles in commercials or as an extra in TV shows, but nothing substantial. Meanwhile, I had graduated, started my career, met Emma, and settled into a stable life. Emma and I got married 3 years after Lisa moved to LA. Lisa flew back for the wedding, and I remember being struck by how different she looked. The carefree girl who left home had been replaced by a woman who seemed harder somehow. She drank a bit too much at the reception and made a scene, flirting inappropriately with one of my groomsmen. It was embarrassing, but we chalked it up to the emotion of the day in the open bar. After the twins were born, Lisa's communication became more sporadic. She'd miss birthdays, forget to call on holidays, and when she did reach out, it was often to complain about her struggles or ask for money. Emma, who had only known Lisa as an adult, found it hard to connect with her and was often frustrated by her behavior. Last month, Lisa called me in tears. She'd lost her waitressing job due to budget cuts at the restaurant. She couldn't afford her rent anymore and was facing eviction. She asked if she could move in with us temporarily until she got back on her feet. I told her I needed to discuss it with Emma first. When I brought it up with Emma, she was hesitant, and honestly, so was I. Our house is already cramped with the twins, and we use the third bedroom as a home office since I work from home 3 days a week. Emma was also concerned about Lisa's lifestyle. Lisa's social media was full of pictures of her at clubs and parties, often looking worse for wear. Emma worried about the influence this might have on our daughters. There was also the financial aspect to consider. We're careful with our money, saving for the twins' education and our retirement. Taking on another adult would strain our budget, especially if Lisa couldn't find work quickly in Chicago's competitive job market. I called Lisa back and explained that we couldn't accommodate her. I offered to help her look for cheaper housing options in LA or even in Chicago if she wanted to move back. I also offered to lend her some money to tide her over. Lisa didn't take it well. She got angry and accused me of abandoning her in her time of need. She said I was choosing my wife over my own sister and that family should always come first. Her words stung, especially because part of me felt guilty. I remembered all the times Lisa had been there for me growing up, defending me from bullies, covering for me when I broke curfew once in high school, being my confidant when I had my first heartbreak. But I also remembered the Lisa I'd seen at my wedding, and the Lisa who'd forgotten my birthday 3 years in a row. The situation escalated when our parents got involved. They sided with Lisa, saying we have the space, we don't, and that it's our duty to help family. They offered to pay us rent for Lisa, but I still refused. I don't want the added stress in our home, especially since Emma and I both have demanding jobs and young children to care for. Lisa has been bad-mouthing me to our extended family and friends. She's painting me as a heartless brother who doesn't care about family. Some relatives have been calling and texting me, telling me I'm being selfish. Even my best friend since high school, Mark, 33M, said I should reconsider. I feel torn. I love my sister, But I also need to prioritize my wife and children. Our home is our sanctuary, and I don't want to disrupt that. The Lisa I knew growing up isn't the same person she is now, and I'm not sure I trust her around my kids. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister move in with us? Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their input. It really helped me gain perspective on the situation. After reading the comments, I decided to have a heart-to-heart with Lisa. I called her and asked if we could meet in person. She agreed, so I took a day off work and flew to LA last weekend to see her. The flight to LA brought back memories of the last time I visited Lisa, about 2 years ago. It was shortly after the twins were born, and Emma and I thought it would be nice to introduce them to their aunt. We'd stayed at a hotel because Lisa's apartment was too small, but we'd spent a day with her. I remembered how Lisa had seemed distracted and irritable, constantly checking her phone and making excuses to step outside for fresh air, which I now suspect was to smoke or drink. When I arrived at her apartment this time, I was shocked. The place was a mess, with clothes strewn everywhere and empty takeout containers piling up. Lisa looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her hair was unwashed, and she had dark circles under her eyes. It was clear that losing her job had affected her more than I realized. We talked for hours. At first, Lisa was defensive, accusing me of coming to gloat. But as we continued talking, her walls came down. She broke down and admitted that she'd been struggling with depression for months. The constant rejections from auditions and the stress of making ends meet had taken a toll on her mental health. She'd been using partying as a way to escape her problems, but it only made things worse. Lisa confessed that she hadn't been entirely honest about her situation. She hadn't just lost her job, she'd been fired for showing up to work hungover one too many times. She was in debt, not just from rent but from credit cards she'd maxed out trying to keep up appearances in LA. As she talked, I was reminded of our grandmother, our dad's mom. She had struggled with alcoholism for years before finally getting sober when we were teenagers. I wondered if Lisa's issues went deeper than just partying too hard. I felt guilty for not noticing her struggles earlier. I apologized for being dismissive of her situation and explained why Emma and I were hesitant about her moving in. Lisa understood our concerns and admitted that she wouldn't want to be a bad influence on her nieces either. We spent the rest of the day walking around Lisa's neighborhood, talking about old times and the future. We reminisced about the summer we spent at our grandparents' lake house when I was 12 and Lisa was 8. We'd spent hours exploring the woods, making up adventures, and planning our futures. Lisa had wanted to be a veterinarian back then. It was bittersweet to think about how much had changed. As the day went on, we came up with a compromise. I offered to pay for 3 months of therapy for Lisa and help her find a job in our city. She agreed to move back to Chicago, but instead of living with us, she'd rent a small studio apartment nearby. This way, she'd be close enough for family support, but we'd all maintain our privacy. When I got home and told Emma about the new plan, she was supportive but cautious. She suggested we could have Lisa over for dinner once a week to help her feel less alone and to keep an eye on her progress. Emma also proposed that we make it a condition of our help that Lisa attends therapy regularly and looks for work. I called our parents to update them on the situation. They were relieved that we'd found a solution and offered to chip in for Lisa's rent for the first few months. Dad shared some stories about helping Grandma through her recovery, which gave me some ideas on how to support Lisa. Lisa is set to move next week. She's already started looking for jobs in our area and has her first therapy appointment scheduled. I'm cautiously optimistic about this new arrangement, but I know it won't be easy. Lisa has a lot of work to do, and I'm a little worried about how this will affect my relationship with Emma and the kids. But for now, I'm just glad that my sister is getting the help she needs. Update 2. It's been 2 months since Lisa moved to Chicago, and I wanted to give you all an update on how things are going. The good news is that Lisa seems to be doing better. She's been attending therapy regularly and says it's helping her work through some long-standing issues. She's also been sober for 6 weeks now, which is a big step for her. It hasn't been easy. There have been days when she's called me, crying and craving a drink, but so far, she's managed to stay strong. Lisa found a job as a receptionist at a local gym. It's not her dream job, but it's steady income, and she gets free gym membership, which she's been using to stay active and healthy. She's also started taking acting classes at a community theater in the evenings. It's not Hollywood, but it keeps her passion alive. We've been sticking to our weekly family dinners, and it's been nice to reconnect with my sister. Emma and Lisa have even started to bond over their shared love of true crime podcasts. The twins adore their aunt and always get excited when she comes over. Lisa's great with them, always bringing little crafts or games to play. However, it hasn't all been smooth sailing. Last week, we had a bit of a setback. Lisa's ex-boyfriend from LA, Chad, 31M, showed up unannounced at her apartment. Apparently, he'd been trying to contact her for weeks, and when she didn't respond, he decided to track her down. I'd met Chad once before, during that visit to LA 2 years ago. He'd seemed like a typical LA wannabe actor, all style and no substance. Lisa had been totally infatuated with him at the time, hanging on his every word as he talked about his latest audition or his new headshots. Chad caused a scene outside Lisa's apartment, yelling and demanding to see her. Lisa called me in a panic, and I rushed over. When I got there, Chad was still making a ruckus. I managed to calm him down and convinced him to leave, but not before he revealed some troubling information. It turns out that Lisa hadn't exactly been truthful about everything. Chad claimed that Lisa hadn't just been fired for being hungover, she'd been stealing money from the cash register to fund her partying habit. He also said that Lisa owed him a significant amount of money, which is why he'd come looking for her. I didn't want to believe it, but when I confronted Lisa, she broke down and admitted it was true. She'd been too ashamed to tell us the real reason she lost her job. She also confessed that she owes money to several people back in LA, not just Chad. This revelation has thrown a wrench into things. Emma is understandably upset about the deception and is worried about having Lisa around the kids. She's concerned that Lisa might steal from us if she gets desperate. I'm torn between my love for my sister and my need to protect my family. We're going to have a family meeting this weekend to discuss where we go from here. I'm not sure what the right course of action is, but I know we need to address this head on. Part of me wants to continue supporting Lisa, she's made progress, after all. But another part of me is angry and feels betrayed by her lies. I've been thinking a lot about our family history. Our dad's side of the family has a history of addiction, not just our grandmother, but a couple of uncles too. I wonder if Lisa's issues go deeper than we realized, and if she might need more intensive help than just weekly therapy sessions. For now, we're taking it one day at a time. Lisa's still going to work and attending her therapy sessions. We've postponed our weekly dinners until we can sort this out. I'm hoping we can find a way forward that keeps Lisa on her path to recovery while also maintaining the trust and safety of my immediate family. Update 3. It's been a month since my last update, and I wanted to share the outcome of our family meeting and what's happened since then. During our family meeting, Lisa came clean about everything. She admitted to her theft, her debts, and her struggle with alcohol addiction. It was a difficult conversation, with a lot of tears and raised voices. Emma was hurt and angry about the deception, and I was struggling to reconcile the sister I thought I knew with the person sitting in front of us. Lisa shared more about her life in LA, the pressure to maintain a certain image, the constant rejection, and how she'd turned to alcohol to cope. She talked about how she'd start each morning promising herself she wouldn't drink, only to find herself at a bar by lunchtime. It was hard to hear, but it helped us understand the depth of her struggles. After a long discussion, we decided on a new plan. Lisa would continue living in her apartment and attending therapy, but we added some conditions. She agreed to attend AA meetings and show us proof of attendance. We also set up a budget plan to help her repay her debts, including the money she owes Chad. Speaking of Chad, we decided to deal with him directly. I called him and negotiated a repayment plan for Lisa's debt. He agreed to leave her alone as long as she sticks to the plan. So far, he's kept his word, though Lisa tells me he still sends the occasional text asking how she's doing. Lisa has been making steady progress. She's still working at the gym and has even been promoted to shift supervisor. She's 4 months sober now and actively participating in both her therapy and AA meetings. Her community theater group is putting on a small production next month, and Lisa has a supporting role. We're all planning to attend. Emma and I have been attending Al-Anon meetings to learn how to better support Lisa without enabling her. It's been eye-opening and has actually helped us improve our communication as a couple. We've had to have some tough conversations about boundaries and trust, but I think we're stronger for it. Our parents visited last week. It was the first time they'd seen Lisa since she moved back, and the change in her was apparent. They were impressed with her progress and thanked Emma and me for standing firm in our decision not to have Lisa live with us. They can see now that the current arrangement is much healthier for everyone involved. The twins are still too young to understand everything, but they know Aunt Lisa is getting better. We've been careful about what we say around them, but we also don't shy away from age-appropriate conversations about making mistakes and trying to be better. Looking back, I'm glad we didn't let Lisa move in with us. As difficult as this journey has been, I believe it forced Lisa to confront her issues and take responsibility for her actions in a way she might not have if we'd just taken her in. There's still a long road ahead, and I know there will likely be more bumps along the way. But for now, we're taking it one day at a time and focusing on healing as a family.